During a traffic jam, Francois and his son Emil engage in a serious argument that leads Emil to exit the car, with Francois following. Suddenly, they notice an ambulance violently shaking, as if a struggle is happening inside. Then, a half-human, half-bird creature breaks out from the ambulance. Francois and Emil quickly find a place to hide. Security officers attempt to subdue the mutant, who fights back in a struggle, managing to throw the officers away before fleeing the scene. Later, while waiting at the medical center, a mutant sits next to Emil. It turns out that in recent years, people have started mutating into animals, and some of them can be dangerous. Every effort is being made to capture them all and lock them up in specialized facilities for treatment, until a cure is found. The doctor informs them that Emil's mother, Lana, who is also mutating into an animal, shows some improvement and hasn't attacked anyone. She will be transferred to a new reception center in the south. Francois agrees and decides to move there as well. In Lana's room, Francois hopes Emil can talk to his mother, but Emil believes that there is no point as she can't understand anything. Afterward, Francois, Emil, and their dog move to a small town in the south to be closer to Lana. At Emil's new school, he introduces himself and lies about his mother is dead. That night, Emil is awakened by the noise of a severe thunderstorm and finds that the power is out. When he looks out the window, he's startled by a creature, but disappears the next moment. The next morning, Francois receives a call and rushes to the scene of the incident, where emergency responders had closed off the area. It turns out the storm had caused the bus transporting the mutants to tumble off the road and into the lake, resulting in half of them dead and the rest missing. The police begin a search for them, and Francois desperately calls out for his wife. Police officer Julia reassures him that they haven't found Lana's body and promises to do their best to find his wife. After returning home, Francois hangs their clothes on the trees outside his house, hoping to attract Lana with their scent. The next day, during a tug-of-war contest in gym class, Emil's teammates lose their footing and tumble to the ground, leaving him alone to hold the rope long enough for his teammates to rejoin him and win the game. Sensing something is off, Emil checks his fingers. His classmate comes and invites him to a party, but he rushes back to his house where he finds tweezers to pull something from under his nails and discovers small claws. Then he checks his back in the mirror and sees his spine beginning to change. Unable to accept the fact that he is also mutating, he is distressed and throws things around. Meanwhile, Francois is shopping for camping gear when he runs into Julia, who reveals that they are no longer searching for the mutants as the military has taken over. Just then, they hear screams and find that the customers have spotted a mutant. Julia orders an evacuation and closes the area, but Francois goes to check, thinking it might be Lana, only to find an octopus mutant. The mutant suddenly throws a box of seafood at them before fleeing. As she runs away, she continues to throw food at Julia, who chases her and manages to tackle her to the ground. Francois discovers a terrified scaly pangolin mutant hiding under a produce display and chooses not to tell the authorities. On Friday night at the party, Emil drinks quite a bit, and his classmate Jordan shows off his new sword. Suddenly, Emil feels unwell and falls off his chair. The others think he's just drunk, so Nina hands him something to sober up, but he instinctively licks it with his tongue, which everyone finds weird. Feeling out of place, he leaves and hears a mutant's howl before running into the forest. The following morning, Emil wakes up and realizes he has spent the night in the forest. Panicked, he rushes home and sneaks into the bathroom. Finding blood around his mouth and coughing up a feather, he is horrified to understand that he ate a bird last night. Afterward, Emil and Francois enter the forest, which is restricted by the police, to search for Lana. Emil asks his father how he felt when his mother started to change, and Francois explains that it made no difference to him, as she is still his wife. They continue their search until nightfall, then they drive for miles and miles, calling out for Lana while playing her favorite song. They end up spending the night in the car, and when Emil wakes up, he notices his nails are changing again. Just then, his dog runs away, and Emil follows him into the woods, where he discovers a chameleon mutant on a tree. Suddenly, the winged man from the beginning tackles Emil to the ground and starts attacking him. He digs his claws into Emil's shoulder, causing him to bleed as he screams, which leads Francois to rush to save him. Francois wants to take Emil to the hospital for his wounds, but Emil firmly refuses, fearing he will be locked up. As they argue, they nearly hit a horse and stop, only to find Julia there. She reveals that a mutant attacked the horses at the equestrian club last night and notices Emil's injury. Julia then takes them back and has a military medic stitch up Emil, who lies that his dog bit him. After returning home, Emil removes some of the stitches and starts licking the wound as blood begins to drip. One day during lab class, Emil notices that the feather on Nina's necklace is like the one he had coughed up. He freaks out and grabs it, but Nina confronts him about it. He then gets agitated by the squeaking of the ferrets in the cage. Eventually, he snaps and yells at them to shut up. After school, Nina sees Emil struggling to ride his bike and even falling off. She tries to comfort him, suggesting he might also have attention deficit disorder, and invites him to her house. Emil opens the fridge and finds a dead bird. Nina explains she found it at her front door and plans to donate it to the mutants as food. Sometime later, Emil is fishing in the lake and catches a fish with his bare hands. He instinctively starts eating it raw. As he walks in the woods, he bumps into the winged man, who is learning to fly but keeps falling repeatedly. Emil offers him a fish and learns that he has named himself Fix because he can't recall his real name. Noticing Fix's injuries from his failed flight attempts, Emil suggests moving to the riverbank and helps to clear all the branches from the water to create a safer space for his flight practice. While Emil rides his bike home, he keeps falling. Frustrated, he eventually abandons the bicycle in the forest. Meanwhile, at the restaurant where Francois works, he is suddenly attacked by a sea lion mutant who knocks him to the ground. In the chaos, he spots another mutant escaping through the back door. A co-worker shows up and pushes the mutant away, managing to calm her down, revealing that she's been hiding the mutant, who is her sister. However, the mutant panics and rushes to the front, causing everyone to scatter in fear. Believing the other mutant could be Lana, Francois runs to the forest where his wife appears as a fully bear mutant, who then disappears into the woods. Shortly after, the police arrive, and Francois tells Julia he saw Lana. Emil also comes back and lies about his bike being stolen. The next day at school during lunch, Emil spits out a tooth which disgusts others. He explains it's just a baby tooth. After school, he goes to see Fix and watches him practice flying. Later, Emil helps him remove the bandage and discovers that doctors had performed surgery to remove the growing beak, but made the condition worse. That night, Julia and Francois search for Lana in the woods, but only find Emil's bike. Back home, Francois discovers the sink is clogged. As he tries to clear it out, he finds a lot of hair and claws, realizing Emil is mutating. When Emil gets home, Francois shows him the claws and confronts him, but Emil denies everything. Francois then asks him to ride the bike as proof. Emil attempts to run away, but Francois tackles him to the ground and hugs him tightly as they both break down in tears. The next morning, Francois notices that Emil is eating directly from his plate and decides to help him hide his mutant features. He checks Emil's mouth and confirms that the fangs are at the back and are safe for now. Francois reminds him to cut his nails every day and puts cotton in his ears before covering them with hair to reduce his heightened sense of hearing. He also shows Emil how to shave his body. The next day, Emil visits Fix and finds out that Fix has lost the ability to speak and can only make bird sounds. After Emil hugs him, Fix climbs up a tree and jumps, showing that he's finally able to fly and soar in the sky. At the local festival where Francois is working, he learns from his boss that Emil has arrived 3 hours late. Francois confronts him and becomes enraged when he sees that Emil hasn't trimmed his claws. Their argument escalates into physical aggression, and Emil bites Francois, refusing to let go until Francois threatens him with scissors to his throat. Emil then walks away and joins Nina for a walk to the cornfield, where they end up kissing and soon escalate to intimacy. When Emil takes off his shirt, Nina discovers that he is changing into a mutant, which she had known all along. Back at the festival, Emil is confronted in the bathroom by a classmate who had seen him with Nina in the field. The classmate uses a device that makes high-pitched noise that only animals can hear, which irritates Emil's ears. Emil attacks him, leaving scratches on his face before he runs away. The locals are alerted and take up weapons to hunt him down. Emil runs as fast as he can through the cornfield. When a man is about to shoot him, Fix shows up and attacks the man, giving Emil the chance to escape into the forest. Unfortunately, Fix is soon shot. Emil immediately rushes to his side and cries as Fix dies in his arms. Shortly after, Francois and the others find Fix's body. The next day, Emil walks through the forest and feeds on wild fruits. When a storm hits the area at night, Emil takes shelter inside a cave and falls asleep. The next morning, he wakes up and encounters a bear, only to realize it's his mother. They touch foreheads in a moment of affection before she leaves. Emil follows her into the woods and finds a lot of mutants living there. Suddenly, the military starts throwing smoke grenades and launches an attack on them. Emil and the other mutants try to run and hide, but soon they are all captured. At the police station, Francois arrives to pick up Emil because his mutating features have not yet been discovered. When Emil attempts to sign the release papers, he struggles to grip the pen properly and ends up tearing the paper. As the officer hands him another sheet, Emil growls at him, revealing his mutation. Francois immediately knocks out the officer before he can raise an alarm. He then stamps the document and leaves the station with Emil. As they drive away, father and son reminisce about their happy memories together. Soon the police start chasing them, but Francois promises Emil he won't let them take him to a facility and speeds up. He drives to the forest and urges his son to run. Emil rushes into the woods, embracing his true nature.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out our channel for more videos.